Okay, so moving on with my collection yet again, and I'm moving on to one of the bigger boutiques in my collection, which is 88 Films. It's rather a lot of movies, so I'm going to break it down into segments. Luckily enough, they have several segments of themselves. We're going to jump into the Italian collection, one of my favourites within my collection, a series of movies that offer up unlimited possibilities when I watch them. You know, you can jump into a kind of police crime movie, it can be a giallo, it can be supernatural, it can be an Italian rip-off of, say, Terminator or something like that. I'm never sure what I'm getting with these things, and I like that kind of surprise nature about the Italian collection. Just not knowing what the heck I'm going to get next. And usually I know nothing about the movies and I just throw them on. Now this is a numbered series, kryptonite for any collector. I don't have all the numbers, but I want all the numbers. I want to get there at some point. I know I will sooner or later. I think I'm missing about maybe 1920 at the moment. There's 62 in the series so far. Let's just start off talking through some of these titles. So number one in the series is Night Train Murders from 1975. I did a review on this recently, very much like The Last House on the Left. This was one of these titles that left me feeling a little bit robbed, something not quite right with the ending of it because things don't pan out the way I really wanted them to pan out, the way I felt they had to pan out to really justify what had happened beforehand. But it took a friend to really highlight a lot of the political aspects of this story and how it related to the Italians, the way they kind of were during the war, and a lot of the allegories along the storyline really made sense, really highlighted a lot of things to me that I didn't notice in the first watch. And although I didn't love it, I felt it had enough good points about it. Just that ending really left me downbeat. But with that insight to what the movie was roughly about, made it a lot better for me. Number two in the collection, and there is a few here I have that I haven't seen. I'll mention it when I get to them. This is one of these series where I've seen the majority of them, probably about 2/3, maybe a little bit more. We'll jump in. So this one is The Blood-Stained Shadow. I don't know anything about this. I'm assuming a kind of giallo movie, although I don't actually know that. But you know, I don't want to look at the back. Like I said, I don't want to know anything about these titles. If you know anything about it, you can let me know. Number three in the collection, and one I've recently reviewed, although it may not be live as yet, is Spasmo, directed by Umberto Lenzi. I loved this thing. Didn't make a lick of sense, but I went with it, and I was delivered a twist that I did not see coming, which was truly fantastic and kind of repurposed a lot of what I came before. Had a really strong start, a really strong finish, kind of meandered a little bit in the middle. Had Ivan Razumov in it as well, who I really enjoy, and Susie Kendall, who was just a delight in the movie. Spasmo was a real treat. The cover gives you nothing to do with the movie. It's just really weird and abstract. The film is pretty terrific though. Next up we have Blast Fighter, directed by Lamberto Bava. A soldier retreats to the woods, a small town, where he is continually picked upon by this guy who seems like he has a death wish, and our main character is going to make that happen. He has this awesome weapon that comes out in the final third of the movie as he has to fight back basically rednecks, almost Rambo rip-off kind of thing, but really enjoyable, some good action set pieces. Number 5 is Zombie Holocaust, otherwise known as Island of the Last Zombies. I haven't seen this one. I don't know why, because I'm a big zombie fan, but I'll get to it sooner or later. Number 7 in the collection, Anthropophagus, The Savage Island, directed by Joe D'Amato. This is a kind of, people go to an island for a holiday, discover that nobody's really alive there, there seems to be a giant Neanderthal man killing and eating people. But it had a really nice kind of idea and conceit behind it when you get to the end of the movie and you get the revelations of what's happened. It was a really nice kind of wrap up, and I appreciated that. It's kind of down and dirty, low budget movie, but it's interesting enough. Number 8 in the collection, and recently reviewed on the channel, is Hitchhike. Franco Nero, Corin Cleary, and who was the other guy? David Hess. Yeah, and this was a little bit like Night Train Murders, because it has a bit of a weird ending that I didn't see coming a mile away, and it's really 3 horrible characters trapped together. We got a couple, which is Nero and Cleary, who are really hate each other, just constantly antagonistical to one another, and it's just like a shocking, poisonous relationship that they both need to be out of. They pick up a hitchhiker who turns out to be an even more crazed killer, escaped from an asylum, who has just committed a robbery, and that's David Hess's character, and this just leads down a spiral of bad choices as these people just, well, they don't go well together and stuff happens. Number 9 is Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, directed by Lucio Fulci. Again, I haven't watched this one as yet. I don't think I've seen it either. Number 10 in my collection. This was sent to me by a friend, Roy, who gave me the SS Experiment Camp. Wasn't for him. I think it might be for me. It's that kind of thing. I don't know anything about it, but I will watch it at some point. Talking about Ivan Razumov, who I mentioned earlier. He is the lead in The Man from Deep River, which is number 12 in the Italian collection, directed by Umberto Lenzi. Again, this was the kind of kickstart of those cannibal movies, only that it's really kind of indigenous people who this man becomes part of their tribe and helping them out. Really like this one a lot. I just like Razumov as an actor. I kind of like a lot of the choices that are made in this one. A little bit of the fourth part at the start where he accidentally kills a man and goes on a run and ends up with this tribe, but other than that, just a really fun movie. Number 13 is Emmanuel and the Last Cannibals, directed by Joe D'Amato. Haven't seen this one as yet. This is one of those ones I picked up at a crazy deal, $1.99 on Amazon at some point. I don't know if it was a price glitch or what, but I was into the Italian movies. I just picked it up then. Still not watched it as yet. One that I believe is going out of print is Burial Ground. Picked this up not long ago because it was going out of print and I needed it. This one is probably a supernatural horror of sorts, but I don't know too much about it. One that has a review coming up at some point is Mad Dog Killer. This is all about an escaped convict who pretty much goes on a rampage. We get a cop who's after him, and we get a woman who's kind of stuck in the middle of these two. And I think that Helmut Berger, who is the main actor in this one, gives a tremendous performance as a crazed killer. He has little nuances, little looks and tics that just make you feel that this guy is incredibly insane and extremely dangerous. Mad Dog Killer was rather enjoyable and took turns where I wasn't expecting it. For the most part, it's pretty tropey, but it did throw in some curveballs that I wasn't expecting. Number 17 on this list is The Cynic, the Rat and the Fist, another one by Umberto Lenzi. I haven't seen this one as yet. John Saxon, Thomas Millian, of course, awesome. Love that actor. John Saxon, what can you say? This looks like a police movie, and I'm sure it'll be pretty fun, as most of them genuinely are. A kind of Terminator rip-off, I think, is Hands of Steel, number 18 in the collection from 1986. This one, I watched the trailer and I was sold. It just looked ridiculously silly, and of course directed by Sergio Martino. How the hell could I not get it? Still to get round to it at some point, but maybe you guys can push me in that direction. Number 22, and this is Massacre in Dinosaur Valley. Look at that cover. Big giant alligators, big birds, carnivorous bird tied to a tree. Nothing like the movie at all. It's just not at all. It's got Michael Sopke as the main star. He's a photographer, or is it an archaeologist or something? They go to Dinosaur Valley where they found the bones. They get in trouble when their plane crashes. There is models, there is bad guys, there is tribespeople chasing after them. It's all kinds of fun and silly. Not at all what the title or the cover dictates. Doesn't matter. It's different, but it's enjoyable in its own way. Number 27 is Iron Master, directed by Umberto Lenzi again, who is prominently featured in these series of movies. This is a kind of Conan rip-off, which I really did kind of like a good bit. Production values were amazing, looked fantastic with all the big vistas, filmed in location in America. Terrific, but just a rather dull storyline that wouldn't really force me back to watch this anytime soon. Number 30 is The Perfume of the Lady in Black. I don't know anything about this one. I think I've checked out the trailer and it looked like a kind of gothic horror movie. Again, I'm not really too certain about this one. Number 31, and one that I've heard is really good, directed by Lamberto Bava again, and this is Body Puzzle. This is a giallo, I believe, and a really good one. I think it was the early 90s. This one came out, 92, yeah, and is supposedly really good, so I'm interested to get to this one. Maybe you can give me a nudge on this one as well. Number 35 in the collection is Zombie Creeping Flesh by Bruno Mattei. I really don't know much about it, so maybe you can enlighten me. Number 40 is The Mercenary, Franco Nero. I love westerns. Again, I mean, that just shows you the variety that's within this collection. We're now into a western movie. It looks pretty good. It gets a good name about it. I'll watch it at some point. So we're halfway through the Italian collection so far. I wonder what you think of this. Is this something that you're into, these kind of Italian movies, the kind of twists on Hollywoodized, Americanized movies? I'd love to know your thoughts. And of course, if you haven't done so, hit the subscribe button. Become part of the film fan base that I have on my channel. And if you really dig these kind of videos, I'd appreciate it if you join my Patreon. It's going to be one of the top links in the comment box. You can join for just £1, euro, dollar, whatever's your current currency, and it helps me out immensely. So we're moving on to these movies where I think I've seen most of them. I think maybe two I haven't. This is when I really started getting into the Italian collection. Now we've got Scia of Bianchi, which is Amazonia, the Catherine Miles story. There's the other cover there, and the main kind of cover art as well. And this is number 42 in the Italian collection, and I really love this movie. I thought it was really unexpected. A woman gets kind of captured by a tribe, becomes part of it, lives there and kind of enjoys that lifestyle until things happen, kind of getting indoctrinated into their kind of way that they live and the things that they do. You get a constant voiceover from the main character. It's just, I really enjoyed the movie. Wasn't what I expected, because I was expecting a kind of cannibal movie. It's not that. It was just really fun and entertaining. On to one of the bigger releases in this series is Two Evil Eyes. It's an anthology, 2 hour-long tales, which is one by George Romero, one by Dario Argento. George Romero's is more of a kind of supernatural, let's see, there's a murder at the start, and then there's a chance that the spirit's been trapped within the house that's causing a little bit of problem, and it's really good and rather entertaining. And then you move on to Argento's version of The Black Cat, which is just wonderful. You get an amazing performance by Harvey Keitel in this one, which is just awesome. It's a really nice set, a really good movie. It's one that's hidden away in the collection with some huge names attached to it that's really worth checking out. Next up, we've got Welcome to Spring Break or Nightmare Beach. This one is number 44 in the Italian collection, just the same kind of cover as the slipcase, and this is from Umberto Lenzi as well, number 44 in the collection. I really like this one. It's all about spring break, as you would expect, people getting killed. There is a leather-clad biker who likes to electrocute people on his bike and kill people in really horrific manners. It's got John Saxon in it as well. It's one from 1990. It's a bit silly in moments, but really enjoyable. One of my favourite releases, if not my favourite release from the Italian collection, is Eyeball. Now, this was a kind of limited set when it came out. It's number 45 in the series. It's Umberto Lenzi's movie. It is a giallo. It's twisted in all the right mannerisms. There is characters that just enlighten the scene when they're there. I love the twist behind it all, who the killer is. I love the fact that it's just a bus trip of Europeans touring around Europe, being picked off by somebody, and nobody can seem to figure out who the killer is, and it's giallo-tastic. And from one of my favourites in the Italian collection to possibly the one that I've enjoyed the least, and that is Rats, Night of Terror by Bruno Mattei. This is number 46 in the collection, and I couldn't get into it. I liked the production design. The idea of these rats just swarming and taking over people was a nice idea, but I found the movie dull. Nothing really interesting happened. Wasn't involved in any of the characters. I didn't find it exciting or enough action in it. It looked a little bit trite. The dystopian future looked just not great. I wasn't anything about this one that I really enjoyed. Next up is Zombie Flesh Eaters 3, which is number 47 in the collection, and again, I've not seen this one. I don't know anything about it. Directed by Massimo Dallamano. Number 48 in the collection is A Black Veil for Lisa. He's the guy that did What Have You Done to Solange, which is a wonderful, absolutely wonderful giallo movie if you haven't seen it. This is a prototypical giallo movie. We do have a figure with a dark hat and gloves is out killing people, but we find out pretty soon who that is. There is a police detective who's on his tail. There is a housewife of the police officer who gets involved with the killer in this one as well, and it turns into more of a kind of twisted romance movie between this trio of characters. There's plenty of murder, plenty of action, and a pretty weird ending as well in this one. Next up we have Green Inferno, or Cannibal Holocaust 2. I love this movie, and I seem to be one of the few people that actually does. It is number 49 in this series, and it is tonally very odd. It came out in the late 80s. It has some real humour, not so much on the cannibals, but more has this trio of people kind of bouncing around the Amazon helping people out like a kind of Scooby gang. It's bonkers, it's silly, but I had an immense amount of pleasure and fun with Green Inferno. I just loved it. Now on to the first double pack, or the only double pack so far, which is numbers 50 and 51, which is Killer Crocodile 1 and 2. I love giant crocodile movies. I've said it countless times on my channel. They're just something I really enjoy, and even though the effects are a little bit ropey, I did like these movies. I particularly liked the second one, which was filmed almost back to back with the first one. I like the second one because it takes no chances, and it does some really awful things, like having a boat full of kids and nuns attacked by the crocodile and eaten at the start of the movie, which I just felt was a bold choice. I liked the characters, the idea of them hunting down this giant killer crocodile, which seems to stalk them throughout the movie. It was just incredibly fun. Next up was another one that I couldn't really fully connect with, and that is Paganini Horror, and that is number 52 in the collection. And it's about a rock band who somebody sells their soul to get a song based on Paganini, the great musician. They go to his house to film a video, and spooky stuff happens. Gates of hell, nightmarish elements, people dying. It's wacky and interesting in the way it does some of its effects, but it never goes full on batshit crazy that I was hoping for, which is, unfortunate. It was decent enough, had a really nice tune to it, and it was alright, not great. Next up we have the Karate Kid rip-off, which is number 53 in the collection, and that is Karate Warrior, and this was incredibly tropey. Objectively looking at it, it's not a great movie, and it is a complete rip-off of Karate Kid, but then there's a lot of Italian movies that are the same as well, but I found it incredibly entertaining, especially the way it sets up the movie for the finale. It spends an hour or so really just padding the ground of this one, and then has a quick fire training montage into the fight where he has to face the antagonistic element in the movie, and it is as awesome as I hoped it was going to be. Silly, yes. Not the best made movie, nope, not at all, but entertaining. Now on to a couple of movies I've not actually seen as yet, which is 11 Days and 11 Nights, a Joe D'Amato movie. This was part of their Indiegogo campaign, which I backed that, and Lucio Fulci's Beatrice Sensi, which is 44 and 45 respectively on these two titles, which is two that I haven't watched as yet. Now on to another Umberto Lenzi, and a sort of run of these soft touch cases that they did. This stars Carol Baker and Jean Sorrow as Paranoia. Basically, a woman and a man run away to go and see his ex-wife for some reason, and they end up within this kind of murder mystery. I really kind of liked Paranoia. It wasn't what I expected. I thought I was getting a giallo movie. It never came that way, but what it did deliver was a movie that was really high on suspense, had nice twists and turns, and was a movie that I really kind of enjoyed. I enjoyed the setup. I enjoyed when the murder happens and things go wrong, the cover up, and then the mounting suspense and tension after that was just kept me on the edge of my seat. Another Umberto Lenzi movie, and that is 7 Bloodstained Orchids. Now this is a complete giallo movie, as in it offers no surprises. If you know what a giallo movie is going into it, this hits every trope. It is expertly done. It doesn't offer anything new, but it doesn't offer anything that's poor in its quality either. The writing, the story, the way it's directed and told is all perfectly fine, and it's straight across the board kind of average giallo. Without any kind of ups and downs, but it's perfectly enjoyable. If you're looking to kind of ease into giallo movies, 7 Bloodstained Orchids is rather entertaining, and it's not too challenging in that form either. Next up is Brothers Till We Die, which is number 57 in the collection, and this is a dual performance by Thomas Millian, star of Don't Torture a Duckling and Almost Human and The Cynic with the Rat and The Fist and other kind of movies. He plays Huncho, a hunchback criminal, and Mazarazzo, a mechanic brother of his as well, twin brothers, and it's just all about the performances. The story is tropey as hell. You've seen all the beats coming. It offers no surprises, but the performances are so just deliciously offbeat that it just kept me entertained. Number 58 is Macabre, directed by Lamberto Bava, and this is a real oddball of a movie based on a true story, filmed in New Orleans, and it's all about a woman who's happily married, has a couple of kids, who goes away for an affair with her lover. Something happens at home, she has to run home to see to the kids, and her lover dies on the way there. She's put into an asylum for a year, and when she gets out, she has separated from her husband and moves into this apartment, and weird stuff begins to happen. It's got one of the weirdest kids ever in a movie, who is so antagonistic, who is so horrible to her mother. It's just one of those really evil kids that I thought was just wonderful within the movie. It's a great addition. Next up we have probably the worst movie in this collection, one that I really did not like at all. Lucio Fulci's The Devil's Honey, and I know it has its fans. It just wasn't for me. It just gave me horrible characters doing horrible things that I wasn't interested in. There's no growth, there's no dealing with any trauma throughout this one. A girl's boyfriend dies. She takes the doctor prisoner because she feels that he didn't give due care, and she's going to kill him at some point. And you get flashbacks to her relationship with her boyfriend, who was extremely abusive and just not a very nice guy. So yeah, that's The Devil's Honey. Next up, at number 62 is Witchcraft, La Casa 4. David Hasselhoff and Linda Blair star in this haunted house movie. I really enjoyed Witchcraft quite a bit actually. They go to a small island where this house is alone. There's tales of it being haunted, and you have this spirit killing people brutally in these horrible torturous moments. You see things like this happen throughout the movie, and it's all to open the gates of hell. There's a fun tripping sequence when Blair gets pulled into a bathtub and goes in this hallucinogenic kind of sequence, which is really odd, off kilter, but just incredibly fun. And last, not least, Beyond Darkness, number 63, also known as La Casa 5, and this one is one that I really did like. And this one, it doesn't have a good name about itself, but I really like the kind of story of a priest dealing with his loss of faith and knowing full well that there is evil out there. I kind of liked all that. A little bit tropey again, some decent effects, directed by the legend who did Troll 2. It's a way better movie than that. It's not great, still immensely fun. And that is it. That is my Italian collection in a nutshell. A whole bunch of movies, maybe 40 or something. I really do like the series. It offers all these really weird kind of movies that I'd never heard of. It jumps genre quite a lot, where you're never quite sure what you're stepping into when you put a movie on. One of the things I do like about the Italian movies is their score. Now, they kind of put all their money into one song, but that's an awesome song, and they will rip the ass out it by playing it in almost every scene, whether it be different instruments or just slowed down. It's the same tune, but they're always like really hummable, really catchy kind of tunes as well. I'm really glad that 88 Films put out the Italian collection, because it's a lot of movies that I may never have touched or went near that most of the time I really enjoy. From everything that I've seen, there's been two movies that I didn't really like, Rats and The Devil's Honey. Other than that, everything else has been at least good to sometimes great, which is a fantastic achievement. So there we have it, another collection tour. I will be back again with more at some point. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.